This is the Lockpicking Lawyer, and what I have for you today is a 13-pin Chinese Yimeijia mortise cylinder. I got this lock from Urban Hawk, and the story of how it made its way to me is actually kind of interesting. I was talking to Urban Hawk about Chinese locks, and I asked him if he had ever heard of a particular padlock that I remembered seeing. It was branded Empire, and I thought it was interesting because it had a key that looked a lot like an ASA twin. That being, it had your normal bitting that you would expect to see on the edge, and then it had side bitting on the key. But unlike an ASA twin, this didn't have a sidebar or sliders that side bitting controlled. What it had was a second parallel row of pins. And of course, Urban Hawk knew exactly what I was talking about, but then asked if I would rather have a lock with 2 rows of pins or one like this Yimeijia cylinder with 3 rows of pins. And of course, I would much prefer the 3 rows. So what we have, if we look at this key, is 4 cuts on the left side, then 5 cuts on the edge, and 4 cuts on the right. So that makes for a total of 13 pins in 3 separate rows inside of this lock. A really interesting configuration, and I'm not sure one I've ever seen before. I've certainly seen plenty of Chinese locks with 2 rows of pins, but I don't think I've ever seen one with 3. So let's see if we can get this guy picked open. I'm putting a tension wrench in the bottom of the keyway to keep me from damaging the bottom of the lock there. Then tensioning it with a 40 thousandths pry bar, and I'm using a standard hook in 25 thousandths. Okay, on the middle row of pins, little click out of 1, nothing on 2, 3, 4, okay, 5 is binding. Okay, got a big click out of 5, back to the beginning in that middle row. Got a click out of 1 again, nothing on 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, let's check out the side pins. We'll start on the left. Nothing on 1. 2 is binding, got a click there. Nothing on 3 or 4, back to the beginning there. Okay, 1's binding. Got a click and a little bit of movement on the core. Nothing else on 2, 3, or 4. Let's check those right side pins out now. 1 is loose, so is 2, 3, and 4. Let's check our center row now. 1, nothing there. Nothing on 2. Click out of 3. 4's binding, click there. Nothing on 5, back to the beginning, 1, click out of 2, 3, 4, okay. I don't think anything else up top there. Let's check the side pins. We'll start on the left. Nothing on 1, 2, 3 is binding. Got a click there, felt a tiny bit of movement on the core. Nothing on 4. On the right side, 1's loose, 2's loose. 3 is loose, and 4 is loose. Let's check our center pins now. Nothing on 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Not sure what's holding us up. On the left side pins now. Now on the right side. And I still haven't gotten anything out of any pins on this right side. No idea what's holding us up. In the center now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left side, 1, 2, 3, 4, right side. Okay, we just got some number 1, a click there. Nothing on 2, 3, 4 is binding. Okay, we got some movement on the core, But what just happened is that the driver pins from the left side fell into the holes on the right side of the core. So we have to pick that right side one more time. Just 4 pins, so it shouldn't be too hard. Okay, there we go. Okay, got this guy open. Let's take it apart and see those 3 rows of pins. Okay, we do have keys, so we can lock this guy back up. Actually, no, let's not do that because we're gonna have to pick it locked if we do that, because we have those 3 rows of pins. Okay, let's get these screws out. Okay, now let's get a follower, and hopefully this won't give us too much trouble. Okay, and here we've got our 3 rows of staggered pins. Let's drop these guys out. Okay, there is key pin number 1. Then what we're going to do is, let's put all of the left side pins up top in slots 1 through 4, and the right side pins in slots 5 through 8. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, so that's the first side pin. That is not coming out easily. And looks like these side pins actually have flat sides. I was not anticipating that. That belongs in slot 4. Boy, I am messing this gutting up badly. Okay. Let's get our other side pins out. Okay, wow. I have a feeling these driver pins are going to be just as much fun. Okay, got everything out there. Now let's get these arranged so I have room to put the driver pins here. Okay. So I have a feeling I'm going to mess this up, but we're going to try our best. There's our driver pin in number 1, a standard. Then here we have left side number 1 and right side number 1, which I believe is pin stack 5 over here. Uh-oh, lost our driver pin for number 2. Now left side number 2. Which has a spring that is stuck in there. Hopefully we'll work around him. And then right side number 2. Here's pin number 3 for the center row. Okay, now here's left side number 3. towards side number 3. Okay, now just a couple more pins. It's looking like these are all standard pins, so I'm not even going to bother with keeping them in place anymore. Yeah, every single one of these driver pins is exactly the same. No point in being careful about this gutting. Oh, looks like the back one is yet another stuck spring. Okay, before we put this core down, one interesting thing to note is that in the very back, you can see we have a small ball bearing. This is a detent that gives the lock a little bit of bias toward the closed position. And that detent fits into this little dimple you see in the very, very back of the core. Okay, let me give you a close-up of all these pins now. If I can get all these springs out of the way. This one's going to be fun to put back together. Okay. As you can see, in slots 1 through 5 down at the bottom, all standard pins, nothing terribly interesting. Let me get our key here. However, at the top of the chambers, you can see all of our side pins, and it appears that those pins have at least one flat side. Yeah, it looks like one side's flat and one side is rounded on all of these. And then the driver pins, all standard, all the same, nothing terribly interesting. Really what makes this lock so remarkable is just the number of pins and the fact that they are in 3 parallel rows. Moving over to this core, you can see our 3 staggered rows. We have 4 on each side and then 5 main pins, all very, very narrow in diameter, actually narrower than what you would find in an American or a master padlock. Then we have that little dimple in the very back for biasing the core towards center. And nothing else terribly unusual about this lock. There's the keyway, obviously very, very wide open, no problem accessing those pins at all. Okay, so that's all I have for you on this Chinese-made Yimeijia mortise cylinder. Urban Hawk, thank you very, very much for getting this lock for me. To everyone else, if you do have any questions or comments about it, please put them below. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please subscribe. And as always, have a nice day. Thank you.